What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Justin Ford podcast, where I'll be releasing life-changing principles and valuable information focused on all things faith, finance, family, fitness, real estate, and so much more. Let's go! What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Justin Ford Unleashed podcast. Super excited to be with you here again today. Hopefully you've been doing great since the last episode. Guys, if you're loving this show, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button here on YouTube or subscribe to your favorite podcast platform. And if you're really loving the show, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review. We always love to hear your feedback. And if you haven't followed me yet on social media, you can at The Official Justin Ford. Again, at The Official Justin Ford. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Got another great episode in store for you today, but before we get into that, this episode is brought to you by my friends over at Next Door Lending. Next Door Lending is a team of professionals that believe everyone should be treated as if they live next door. The founders and team members have more than 150 years of combined experience helping clients all over the country choose the best loan program to help you accomplish your goals. Next Door Lending is currently licensed in over 23 states and has a team of over 100 loan officers specializing in helping you get the best rate and terms. Whether you're looking to refinance your home or you're looking to purchase your next home, call my friends over at Next Door Lending today at 888-885-3667 or visit their website at nextdoorlending.com. You know, I always love to bring different guests on the show to talk about different things. And before I introduce my guest today, you know, I always look for, you know, people who are creating success or have a story to tell. And the young man that I'm going to introduce to you today is 19 years old. 19 years old. I met him when he was like 16 or 17. And what I loved about this young man when I met him was he wasn't like your typical teenager who was focused on like partying and hanging out or, you know, being cool or popular. He was talking to me about cryptocurrency, talking to me about real estate, and talking to me about wanting to be successful. And, you know, he had said that, you know, his goal was to get into real estate when he turned 18. And, you know, I hear different people say different things, and I don't want to say I take it with a grain of salt, but, you know, I kind of put it up on the shelf. And then, you know, if it happens, that's great. And if not, you know, I didn't put a lot of time or energy into it. But what's cool about Carson, and I'm going to introduce him here in a second, is my daughter, Tiara, who's been on the show, with her best friend, Sabrina. They did a show last year when they came back from Nicaragua. It's actually Sabrina's older brother. And so I got to be around Carson and, you know, get to know Carson because of Tiara's relationship with Sabrina. And I've also been able to get to know Carson's family and look at Carson like a little brother, and just have had an awesome time getting to know him. So please help me welcome to the show, Carson Phillips.
Thank you for having me, Justin. I appreciate everything you've done for me, and I'm super excited to be on the show today.
Yeah, super excited to have you here. I know we've talked about this, and so, you know, you've kind of been with me now for about a year and a half.
Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. So you ended up actually getting, you know, after you turned 18, you're like, man, I want to pursue real estate. And you actually weren't sure which way you were going to pursue, because when we first started working together, you kind of had another opportunity on the table, and it was kind of going to be a toss-up between coming to work with me or going to do what?
Yeah, so the other opportunity I had in store was to go work for a door-to-door pest control sales position, and it was a good position, but when it came down to it, I just had to make the long-term decision, and real estate was the path to go.
Yeah, and so I remember when you were talking about going to do this door knocking job. You know, we do a lot of prospecting, as you know, in real estate, and door knocking is one of the things that we teach on how to prospect in real estate. And, you know, I remember you would go, I think, on a weekly basis to go, you know, meet with this group of young guys and prospect and role play and talk about going to door knock. What was that like?
Yeah, so honestly, though I didn't end up doing that job, I do credit them to a lot of my success because they laid a solid foundation to my sales skills. They taught me a lot of the basics, and I learned what a script was, and I learned what role playing was, and just the basics of sales. And so I did do some door knocking. I did about a week in Arizona, and then about 2 weeks here in Michigan.
Yep.
And it is a grind for sure, and I'm very grateful that I did it, even though it was such a short-lived thing. Actually, on the doors, when I came to real estate, it was I hit the gates running because I had already gotten a sense of what it's like to prospect, what it's like to
be told
go
no,
out,
right?
Yeah, be told no and go out and find business.
Yeah, and that, one of the things when it comes to sales, I know sales sounds sexy, right?
Yeah.
You see, being able to make big commission checks and make a lot of money and create this success, especially when you're young. And we'll talk about kind of what has drawn you to sales at such a young age. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of times people are drawn to the sexiness or what's possible with sales. But when you got to get down into the trenches and get in the nitty gritty, most people don't want to put in the work, right?
Right.
So you're, at what point, in your journey as a teenager, were you kind of drawn to, sales or success or, doing something more with your life?
Yeah. So first things first, I want to say, I've shared this with you. I believe it's in my blood. My grandfather, my mother's dad, he passed away a few years ago. But I got to spend some time with him. Obviously wish I could be spending a ton of time with him now. We've talked about that.
Yep.
And, I believe it's in my blood. Then it goes down another generation. My uncle, my mom's brother, he's in sales as well, and he crushes it.
Yeah.
So when I got into it, it felt right, and I refused to be bad at it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have family members that are in this that crushed it. I'm like, I know it's in my blood. I know I can do this.
Yeah, I remember going to your house the first time where I had the chance to kind of sit and talk to you more and get to know you more. And I remember your mom showing me the picture of your grandpa. Mm-hmm. Like, he was a motivational speaker. Mm-hmm. He was a sales guy. He was, doing what I do, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's so awesome to kind of see, how you guys look at your grandpa as almost like creating this legacy for you now to be able to go out and do it as well, which was pretty encouraging when I saw that. And so, a lot of times when you're a teenager, most kids are more focused on, hanging out or, being cool or, doing all the things that kids do, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But like you were investing in crypto, talking about buying real estate, studying for, what it looked like to be a real estate agent before you ever could. I mean, what kind of got you going like deeper into that,
Yeah. So that's a great question. And I think, they're behind what I've accomplished in so far, isn't just like, hey, I woke up one day and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. There was a long road. There was pain. There was happiness. Right. There was, a lot of grit, a lot of discipline. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we'll go back to high school. I got to give credit to some of the people I surrounded myself with. One of my best friends, Owen Waldo, he and his brothers were huge into crypto. So being best friends with him, he was like, hey dude, you should get into this. And I was like, okay, I'm going to check it out. So, with a little bit of money I had, I got into it. And I saw some success. I mean, people know from 2020 and 2021, the markets were just rising and rising. So I luckily saw some success there.
Yep.
And that was good. That taught me some good lessons. But, it came where things really started to take flight, I should say, is, my high school experience was good.
Yeah.
I did have some challenges, some hard times.
Yep.
And, that brought me down to a low place.
Yeah.
And I was there I had some support, but it was mainly a one-man journey. Like I was kind of there on that road alone.
Yeah.
And I remember it was October or maybe November 2020. I just remember, I think it was just some night. I was just like, man, I was like, I'm done. I'm done living this way. I'm going to be better than everyone I've ever known. And that does sound cocky and prideful. And I say it like that because that's what I thought. That's what I said to myself. I said, I know I'm destined for something better. So I was on the tail end of 16.
16 years old.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I was like, or actually I think I was on the tail end of 17 at this point. So I was like, I'm just going to be better. I was like, I know there's something more in store for me. I know God wants to use me for his purpose and stuff like that. I was like, I have to be that person that matches up to what he wants me to be.
Yeah. And, oftentimes, and I was actually on the way to the studio today, I was encouraging somebody and I was telling this person, when we go through tough times, they're difficult, right? We're when you're in the storm and you're in the moment, I mean, it's real, right? Like you feel it, It's
Yes.
over. It feels like it's overcoming you and all of these things. But what I encourage this other guy this morning is like, but these are the moments that make you.
Yeah.
Even though they're tough, these are the things that God uses to build character in you, to prepare you, to build grit in you, and to do something inside of you. I was on a podcast interview yesterday, and the guy was like, Justin, if you could go back and tell young Justin something different or something to have young Justin take a different path, what would it be?
Yeah.
I said, I wouldn't tell him to do anything to take a different path. I would say, buckle up.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough, but it's going to be worth it, right?
Amen.
And a lot of times we try to avoid pain and we try to avoid struggle, and we nobody wants to experience that.
Right.
But when you can get to the mindset that God uses those things to build you, to mold you, to shape you, to create this character in you. And I was telling the guy, I said, you might be going through these things right now, but these things are building the future you that you desire to become. And it's like, we don't understand that. And so you go through these tough times in high school, which is going to be a part 2, because we're not talking about that today, but there's going to be a part 2 where you share, what that is, because I think it's important, and I think your message is meant to reach people, but not today.
Agreed.
Not that part. So then you make this decision, like, I'm going to do something with my life. And I don't think it's cocky or arrogant to say I'm going to be better than anybody I know. As long as you're not making them feel that way, but you're just being the best version of yourself and showing up. So you make this decision. You're 17 years old. I think at that point where you and I already kind of.
So, yes, to line up the timeline, it's 2021. I think we had met.
In 2020, wasn't it?
I want to say it was 2020. So we'd met a few months prior, so I kind of knew of you. But 2021, I was like, okay, this is my year. I'm going after. I'm graduating high school.
Yep.
So, I started doing things and adding more value to my life. I started going to the gym, started reading books, started just taking better care of myself, trying to kill off bad habits.
Yep.
So I'm going through 2021, just consistently, trying new things out. I bounced around jobs a little bit, just trying different skill sets and stuff. And that was, honestly, I'm grateful for that, to try out different things at a young age. And then towards the end of 2021, I had some big family changes, and it was hard, but, it basically, I said, okay, I can either back down or I can step up. And, I was just talking to a young guy the other day. He just had some events happen in his family, and I was talking about the stages of change. And it's, it's anger at first, then I believe it's, acceptance, and then it's how do I make this better? And then it's like, this is my new normal. That might not be exactly it, but that's the general idea.
Right.
And I feel like I went exactly through that. I was so mad. I was so angry that these things happened to me. And then, I just, okay, this is what it is. Let's accept it and let's move on. And I just stepped up to the plate. So while this is all going on, this is about when I started doing the door-to-door sales training program. And so now 2021 December rolls around, and I'm like, Justin, I have the sales opportunity coming up, but I want to learn what it's like to take rejection. That's literally what I said.
Yeah, yep.
You could probably find in the emails. Hey, would you like to meet? I'd like to work for you.
Yeah.
And we ended up meeting in December. We had a great time. We just had lunch, and it was a good meeting. You're like, hey, let's do it. I see something in you.
Yep.
January 31st, 2022 was my first day. We worked about 12 hours, and I was like, what am I getting myself into?
Right. I said, come to the office at this time. And then, we had a long day that day.
Yeah, we did. And when I walked in, you were prospecting.
Yep.
And I was like, I remember people were being like, this is the wrong number. Why are you calling this house? This and the other. I'm like sitting there on the chair looking. I'm like, what are you doing right now? I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then we just had a day, and the ball started rolling from there. And quickly after that day is when I went to Arizona to do my first trial run of door-to-door sales. And wow, was that something else. Like, I understand the phones are scary, but it's like getting dropped off in a neighborhood in the most saturated market in America for the product or the service you're trying to sell.
Yeah.
That was wild.
Yeah. It's not like you were getting dropped off in your own neighborhood and you're knocking on people's doors that you're going to a whole nother state. Mm-hmm. And I envision it's almost like one of those white vans that pull up, they open the door and they kick you out. That's how I see you just getting dropped off in the neighborhood.
That was basically it. So yeah, I went out there and I started doing my thing. And honestly, I remember calling you. I think it was the second day or something like that. You texted me, you said, hey, any sales yet? And I said, nope, not yet, but I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep trying. Yep. And I did end up getting one. And And, when I came back, when you were like, okay, this is what I want you to do for me, circle prospect.
Yep.
And after that experience, jumping on the phones, I'm like, all I got to do is sit here and call people. I don't have to go door to door and like be out in the sun. I'm like, this is easy.
Yeah.
So I started, circle prospecting for you. I saw some success.
Yep.
And, time was going on. I was still in the door to door program, learning from them. I'm now learning from you.
Yep.
And it came down to the wire of, am I going to Philadelphia to do door to door sales
for 6 months, right? Or was
for
it
the summer? Like
summer, right?
Yeah, 4 or 5 months.
4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
And that was last year.
Yeah, that was last year. And it was a pretty big decision because I was like, I just invested all this time. I see the potential with this.
Yep.
Or do I take this blind faith and work for Justin Ford Real Estate Team?
Yeah.
And I prayed about it, and I just said, you know what? I'm staying here. I just have a feeling that long term, this is what's going to make most sense.
Yep.
So from that, we started doing pre-foreclosures.
Yep.
And it was going good at first. And, we had some cash offers out. We had one deal under contract.
Yep.
It ended up falling through. That was a good time.
Yeah.
Learned a lot. And, I like to be honest with everyone. But then come July, I burned out. For everyone that's, prospecting right now and, doing their thing, going after business every day, they know what it's like to really, kind of hit a wall sometimes.
Yeah.
And in that situation, I backed down and I was like, okay, I don't know, like, did I make the right decision? So last year, which is coming up on a year, it was pretty hard because I was like, man, like, what do I do? I was still going in the office, doing some like admin stuff, but I wasn't really prospecting and gaining new business. And then August, I was like, all right, we're back at it.
Mm-hmm.
And, we started working on the agent-to-agent property network company. So we were doing a plethora of things, but I was back at it in August. Things were going good. And, we should say, in the meantime, while I'm working on, we're working on pre-foreclosures and we're doing the other business, I had one deal in the works.
Well, let's back up even a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because you were also, for a period of time when you decided to stay, you started studying to take your real estate exam.
Oh, yeah.
You took the class.
In March, I believe it was.
Yep, you took the class.
Yep.
Studied for the test. And what happened when you took it the first time?
Yeah, so the first time I walked in there, I was like, come on, this can't be that hard. Like, what's the big deal? And I ended up getting like a 50 on it, and you need like a 70. Or maybe,
or 75
you need
or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe I even got a 40. Like,
I think
I
it's
didn't
70,
do well.
Yeah, 70.
So, yeah, I took that, and I was like, okay, this is a lot like harder than I thought. So, came back to the office, was doing pre-foreclosure stuff. And in the meantime, I was studying for the test.
Yep.
And second time I took it, I got a 67, so I was like just there.
So close.
Second time was like a 68 or something like that.
Yeah, you were super close.
And then the fourth time.
So yeah, so the first time was like a 40.
Yeah.
Second time was a 67.
Yep.
Third time was a 68.
Yeah.
So you're getting closer every time.
Yeah, I'm so close. So fourth time, I recognized some of the questions. I was like, okay, I'm going to answer these a little bit differently. I clicked the button thinking, here we go. And it says, you passed.
Yep.
I'm like, oh my gosh.
4 times.
There you go. I'm like, all right. So I, got out of there. I went directly to the office. We were high-fiving. Let's go.
Yep.
And yeah, so that was in June. So I've been licensed since June. So now we're just over a year.
Just over a year.
And around the same time in June is when I curated that first lead that became my first sale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's awesome is, a lot of times when people get into real estate, they just think that it's like this, what you see on HGTV. I'm just going to get in. It's going to be great. It's going to be easy. And, and what I told you was, and I never say this to discourage anybody, but a lot of times people don't pass the first time.
Yeah.
It's a difficult test because it's tricky.
Yes.
Right? They try to trick you with the questions.
One word can change the whole meaning of the sentence.
Oh yeah. And that's what they do is they try to trick you. And so most people would take it the first time and get discouraged.
Yeah.
The second time, even more discouraged.
Yeah.
The third time, say, what the heck am I doing? But you decided to push forward, take it a fourth time. And what I love about you is you're not a quitter. No matter how hard things get, like even that July last year, like you pulled back, you reevaluated, but you showed back up because the journey to your dreams and to the success you want to create is never going to be easy. There's going to be detours. There's going to be times where you feel like falling down. There's going to be times that you feel like pulling back. But you have to just continue to commit to move forward. It's not sexy. It may look sexy on the outside, but it's definitely not. It's tough. And I think that's why 9 out of 10 real estate agents are out of the business in their first 2 years.
Yeah.
Because it's tough. So you get your first deal under contract, which was actually a good one. It was like over 600,000.
Yeah, it was a solid deal. You know, we won't go into the details, but I definitely worked very hard to get that deal closed.
Yeah, I told Carson, I'm like, this is not how things typically go.
Yeah,
we had to jump through a lot of hoops. The one of the owners was in prison. We had to send like stuff overnight, try to get it signed, and then they're like, we can't tell you. He's being, moved over to this jail and all this, and it was just like crazy.
And the other homeowner was out of state.
And the first deal that we got fell through. Then we're like, we need another deal. And it's like, Carson, I saw you're like, oh my gosh, is this really what real estate is? What did I just sign up for?
Yeah.
And I just told you, man, just keep pushing forward, keep trusting the process, and it's not going to be this hard. So let's fast forward. So you get that first deal done.
Yeah.
But then after you get that deal done, now you're kind of faced with another decision because you're looking at the different options within real estate of what path you wanted to go. And you were looking at, do I go into wholesaling and doing investments, or do I go into the production side?
Yeah, no, exactly like you said it. So I was faced with another split decision. And basically, to make it, to make it sound more simple, it was, do I go off market or do I go on market?
Right.
And basically what that means is, do I wholesale or do I become an agent? And, for January, I worked on the wholesale stuff. And funny enough, I put 2 deals under contract in the same week, and both of those ones fell through. We were just a little bit high on them.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, prayed about things, thought it through. And I was like, okay, I'm around one of the best guys in the business. Like, I need to take advantage of this opportunity. I need to do what his strengths are because I'm around him every single day. So what was it? I want to say February 1st.
Yeah, February 1st.
We're almost a year from when we first started working because, our first day was January 1st or January 31st, but, call it February 1st.
Yep.
So basically, we're a year from when we first started working together. I said, Justin, I'm coming back to the office. I'm going to be an agent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you decided that you were going to come in and you were going to commit to the process. And you obviously had seen me do it for a year. You've seen me show up, make the phone calls, set the appointments, go on listing appointments. And so Carson, you started in January kind of like an admin, right? You were just helping me, do different things. But at the same time, you were going on appointments with me.
Yeah.
You were watching what I did. So you were kind of shadowing me. And I like to start new guys along this journey. And one of the requirements is you got to drive my car.
Yeah.
You got to drive me around because, by you driving, it allows me to get things done. Because this all started even with Juan. Juan, who's now our operations manager, a couple of years ago, he would drive me to appointments. He would listen to me on the phone, negotiating contracts, going through these things. But then he'd go on the appointment with me. He'd shadow me. He'd learn what to do. And then I'm like, all right, Juan, now it's your turn to go do it. So it started with Juan, then it's you. Now it's Tyler. Tyler's driving me to appointments, listening to me, negotiating, going on appointments with me. And so in February, you kind of knew, all right, I'm stepping up to this and I'm going to make a commitment. So on February 1st, you decided I'm going to come in and I'm going to start making phone calls. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, so that was the initial phone call to you. And then February 7th was my first day prospecting.
Yep.
And
Did you know what you were getting yourself into?
So I knew the gist of it, obviously, from past experiences, but I hadn't done FSBOs and expired yet. I've done all this prospecting. I never had done FSBOs and expireds.
Yep.
So getting into it, I was just like, okay, script here, objection handlers here. Let's go after it. And, I started just trusting the process, started going after it. But what happened in February? No appointments. And so you're 30 days in, let's say, you're showing up, you're making calls, you're taking the no's, you're getting the objections. I mean, what was going through your mind? What was it mentally like or emotionally like, after 30 days of really no results? Yeah, that's a great question. So thinking back on it, it was interesting because the first week of March, I went out of town with some of my buddies. So 30 days in, I was like, okay, I just got my trial run.
Yeah.
I'm going out of town. Nice little reset.
Yeah.
We're coming back in March, and we're going to start crushing it.
Yep.
March comes around.
Yep.
No appointment set.
No appointment set. And for those of you that are listening, I teach the prospecting boot camp at Glover U, but I've also established my career on learning how to pick up the phones and make phone calls. Call expireds, call for sale by owners, and be told no, right? That's the whole gist of that part of the job. It's just being told no.
Yeah.
All the time. And I know because I was Jeff's inside sales manager and I've trained people, I coach people, like it's not easy. It is not easy to pick up the phone and be told no. because it's all mindset. Nobody likes fear of rejection. Nobody likes being told no. And nobody likes really working without seeing like the results of your work. And I could see that there were times that you got discouraged because there'd be
100%.
days where you didn't come in.
Mm-hmm.
There were days where you're just like, I don't know if I can do this. And you were honest about it. But I kept telling you, Carson, just keep showing up.
Yeah.
If you keep showing up and you follow the process, the end result is going to eventually show up. And so February, no appointment set. March, no appointment set. April, no appointments. Now you're 3 months in.
Yeah.
Most people are not going to go 3 months without results. I mean, what were you thinking, and why did you continue to move forward?
Yeah, so in April, it was even a double sting because I think I set 1 or maybe 2 appointments, and they both canceled on me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember one of our first videos, like, oh, this is my first appointment, ringing the bell. Next day, she's like, I have to cancel my appointment.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, so May gets here, and I'm like, well, you know, I was like, I'm just going to give it one last month. That was pretty much my thoughts. I have it written down, I think somewhere on a piece of paper at my house. I was like, I'm going to take one listing in May, one listing in May, just get one listing in May.
Yeah. So you were going to give it one more month. Like,
yeah.
Because, I mean, 3 months of doing something and not getting the results, because I didn't have you on payroll.
No.
Right?
I'm straight commission.
When you were doing administrative stuff last year, you were on payroll, but then you came off of it. And so for 3 months, it was like no money coming in.
So luckily, you know, I'm still living at home. I'm still don't have a ton of bills, and that house, you know, $650,000 house closes at 6% or 3% to our side. It's a nice paycheck for a 19-year-old. So I had a little nice nest egg. So I was like, I wasn't stressing there, but you know, the only reason I feel like I gave May a shot was because March was probably my biggest struggle month because I was gone for the week and just that mindset of like, man, I'm not setting appointments. So I was like, okay, March semi-count. So I'm hitting May hard. We'll see what happens.
Yep. And not only did you hit May hard, but again, no appointments set or listings taken in February. No listing appointments set or listings taken in March. You had a couple potential opportunities in that April. Fell through, right? So I don't even count those because that didn't manifest in anything. But then May,
baby,
you take 4 listings.
4 listings.
Wow.
Yeah, that was exciting. That was wild, and I can't even explain it. When I talk to everyone about this, I say, guys, there's just this process and the way like the world works, the universe works. I was like, if you just pay your dues up front, you start to see results.
Yep.
And the first appointment I went on, I met this guy at a deli shop. So that was interesting.
Yeah.
But funny enough, it was May 1st. The newest expireds came out.
Yep.
And I set that appointment. I was like, this guy isn't real. He's messing with me.
Yeah.
And our ISA, Nina, calls him, and I listened to her call, and he's like, well, I'm meeting with the gentleman later in the day if you want to come by as well. And I was like, oh my goodness, this guy like is real. We're going on this appointment.
Yeah.
So I go out to the deli shop in West Bloomfield. I sit down, I talk with him for a while, and contract signed. My first one out the gates, contract signed.
Over $1 million. First one.
Yep.
And I didn't go with you.
No.
Because I told you to go by yourself on all those appointments in May.
Yeah. I think you were out of town or doing something, and I called you. I was like, Justin, I got this $1 million appointment. What am I going to do? And you were like, bro, just go out there and crush it. So I walked out with a stack of reviews.
Looking like a G, too. Like, he had this great suit on, looking all sharp.
Yeah.
I'm just like, go get it, Carson.
Yeah, so I did what we do best. I walked out there with our past solds, past reviews, some other goodies, and I sat down at that table. I said, listen, what happened with the last agent? This, that, and the other. And he trusted me and got the contract signed there.
And I think that was the beginning to unleashing the monster in you.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, my gosh, this feels good.
That was awesome.
And then you go on to set several more appointments. And then by the end of May, you had taken 4 listings. And one of them, you know, actually went through the process and closed pretty quick.
Yeah, under contract in May and closed in June.
Closed in June.
And, you know, there is the power of being on a team because that deal was getting a little shaky right after the contract was signed. And I said, Justin, what do I do? And you said, let me handle it. There's certain situations still where you're like, hey, I'll take this one. And you know, put out the fires and you eased everyone, and, you know, the contract went through and we got her sold.
And and you know, I always say this, if you're a new agent or you're not really doing anything in the business, but you want to get started, being on a team is so important. Who you surround yourself with matters. And I was thinking about this even this morning. You know, I started my real estate career on Jeff's team.
Yeah.
And I would not have the success that I have. I wouldn't even be able to teach you or anybody else on our team, you know, what I know if it wasn't for being on his team for 3 years.
Yeah.
You know, being on a team, a lot of times people are like, well, you know, I don't get as much commission when I'm on a team. But I remember back probably 15, 16, gosh, almost 20 years ago when I was doing mortgages, because I started off in mortgages, and I was on a low split for this mortgage team. And I was sharing this with my mentor. I'm like, man, I think I can go off and get more commission and this and that. He said, Justin, I want you to look at this as like you're in university. You're paying your dues and you're paying your tuition right now. And by doing that, in return, you're getting the education. In return, you're learning the process from somebody that's more experienced than you. And so don't look at it as you could get more money. Yeah. Look at it as you're paying your tuition so that one day you can get more money, and not just get more money, but you'll be able to know what to do and how to do it in a shorter period of time. And so that's definitely, you know, one of the advantages of being on the team. And so that deal closes pretty quick.
Yeah.
And then we were out of town not too long ago at the Glover U conference.
Yes, sir.
And you had this listing up in Flint. You know, what's interesting is Carson's becoming the king of Flint.
The king of Genesee County.
Genesee County.
Yeah.
He's got several listings up there, and we go anywhere, right? I encourage you, like, don't just go down the street. Like, if you got to drive an hour to go listing, go bag that listing.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense financially. Like, you know, going out there, $295,000 listing.
Right.
It makes sense. Like,
yeah. And you went out there, and what's awesome is, and here's what I love about the psychology of sales, especially in real estate, is a seller is never going to tell you or show you their full deck on the phone. Like this dude said, I want to net how much?
287.
I want to net 287. And we did the numbers with a 6% commission. He would have to sell around like 315.
Yep.
You know, when you back out the commission and everything else. And so you get there and you take the listing at how much?
We took it at 295 there. Yeah, I think on the spot we took it 295.
And the goal was, or the hopes were, let's get multiple offers. Hopefully it drives the price up.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen.
Yeah, so we had consistent showings.
Yep.
And, you know, it just takes the one, like Ed Milo speaking, even on the in business, sometimes it takes that one buyer to make everything come together.
So we get an offer.
We do.
And it was a lower offer. What was it, 290?
290.
And you come to me and we're at the conference and you're like, oh, shoot, he's not getting 287. And what did I say?
You said, well, you know, talk to him about the 295. People never tell you what they want up front. They'll just blurt out a number and see what happens. So I go ahead and I text him. I say, Rick, if I can get you 295, will you take this offer? He was like, yeah, I'll take it.
So much for the 287 net.
Yeah, exactly.
And he took it.
Yeah.
And we should be probably closing in a week or two.
Mm-hmm. Appraisal comes back soon, and then we'll probably close second week of July.
Yeah, which is awesome. And so here you are, you know, a year and a half later after we start working together. You know, what would you say to maybe the younger, you know, you out there that's wanting to get started, wanting to, you know, get into real estate, wanting to do something with their life? I mean, what would you say to them or anybody listening?
Yeah, so I figured this question would come up, and I really appreciate you asking me it. So two things. One, going back to what we're talking about with commission splits and stuff, when you start getting in that mindset, you've now left the mindset of, I can't learn anymore from this person. Like if I was like, Justin, I'm going out on my own, I'm going to, you know, be at EXP full time or whatever and make more money that way. I have decided that I cannot learn anymore from you.
Right.
And that's just not true right now. There's still a plethora of things to learn from you.
Yeah.
And even any position, even if you were to work at a better company for a lower amount of dollar, it's like, look how much more mentors and skills and people you can learn from. And you've decided that I'm in my earnings or my learning season, not my earning season.
Wow, that's good.
My time to make money. That's from Alex Hermosi. My time to make money will come. Like you said it to me. You said, Carson, I promise you'll be successful.
Wow.
And I, you know, that lifted some weight off of my shoulders. Like, okay, I know I'm on the right path. I know I'm going to make it. But it just takes time, and I'm in my learning season.
I love that. And I think it's important for those that are listening, are you in your learning season or your earning season? And it doesn't matter how old you are. Mm-hmm. And I think there's different stages to that, right? Yeah. Like even whether it's your real estate or the next thing up or whatever, there's always a time to learn. And if you learn from the right people, then you're going to earn.
Yeah.
And who you decide to learn from is going to determine what you earn down the road.
Yeah. 100%.
That's so good, bro.
On the other side of that, what would I say to my younger self? I'd say, One, people drastically underestimate what it takes to be successful, the amount of volume.
Yeah.
So what I'd say to a young real estate agent like Tyler, what I would say to him is,
or anybody listening that's looking to get in the business.
Yes. And even what I'm telling myself right now, and I'm kind of breaking bad habits. 25 contacts, even in this new market or not, is not going to cut it.
Right.
Really, you should try to get to 30, 40, 50.
Right.
One thing you said to me, you said, Carson, when I was at Jeff's, I had sales skills. I did. But you know why I was number one month after month? Because I crushed the numbers.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, so all I have to do to make more money is simply talk to more people.
That's it.
And I was
it's
like,
a numbers game.
Yeah. So being a young real estate agent, they want to hit their 20, 25 contacts. But listen, if you can hit 50 a day, do 8 hours of prospecting, I know it's hard. I know it is. But you won't go 3 months without an appointment. I promise you'll find someone sooner than I did.
I love it. I love it. And so if you're listening right now and you are looking to get into real estate, or you're in real estate, but you're just not having the success that you want, find a team. If you're local here in the Michigan area, man, give us a call. We're looking to bring, agents onto the Justin Ford team. Or if you're in another area, we're growing our EXP team. And what's great about EXP, unlike other companies, is you can join EXP and maybe not be on the Justin Ford team, but still have, training, coaching, connection. And I think we're 135 people strong as of today.
Yes, sir.
And we're growing and expanding all over the country, all over the world. So if you're listening to the show, you can always reach out. If you have real estate questions, you can always reach out. If you're looking to make a change. And Tyler, so funny. I always call Carson Tyler, and I call my nephew Tyler Carson because they look just alike.
Yeah.
We were at the conference, and they were like, "Are you brothers?" No. But I know we're going to do a part 2 of this.
Yeah.
Any final words?
Yeah, my final words would just be stick to one thing and one thing only. Though I did get the pleasure of trying out different things in real estate, whether it's in real estate, life, or just business in general, stick to one thing for 90 days. Just give it 90 days.
90.
And if it doesn't work out, hey, it didn't work out, move on to something else. But once I stuck to one thing and one thing only, which, to clarify, I was going after listings. Yeah. That's when the success started to roll in.
Proud of you, bro.
Appreciate
19 years old. Rock star in the making, in the learning phase, but soon to be in the earning phase. And we're going to do a part 2 of this podcast because you have more of your story to tell.
Yes, sir.
And I think it'll be super important. So, guys, feel free to find Carson Phillips on social media. Connect with this guy, learn from this guy. And he's going to big places. And it's just and always a joy to spend time with you, Carson. So I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in to another episode here of the Justin Ford Unleashed podcast. This episode is brought to you by my friends over at Next Door Lending. Next Door Lending is not only a sponsor of the show, but this is our personal lender. This is who we send all of our buyers to. They have over 600 5-star reviews, an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If you are looking to purchase a home, you're looking to refinance a home, or you're a real estate agent looking for a great lender to partner with, call my friends over at Next Door Lending today at 888-885-3667 or visit their website at nextdoorlending.com. Really appreciate you being on the show today. Again, hit the subscribe button. Feel free to share this episode if it encouraged you with somebody else that you know. And I always like to leave you with 2 things here on the show. Number 1, it's not how you start. What matters is how you finish. And number 2, with God, all things are possible. God bless you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.